Chances are you have felt a crunch on your time, trying to get as much done as you can in a very small amount of time. I know when I survey my readers, that's probably one of the most common things that come up. So to that end, what we're going to talk about now is 10 of the highest impact tasks that you could do to grow your business in 30 minutes or less. Okay, so in order to accomplish these 10 things and really make a lot of headway in a short amount of time, there's a couple of criteria that I think you need to be able to adopt as a mindset. The first one is that you cannot be a perfectionist, okay? Usually when people are searching for perfection, they can't even really define what it is. And so therefore, it's really a waste of time to try to find it. So when I say not to be a perfectionist, I'm not saying you're going to put out crap. It's that you are going to purposely make it so that you are not chasing some standard that you can't even figure out what the heck it is. Usually the search for perfection is really a delay tactic to launch anything into the world. So knock it off if that's what you're doing. The second thing that you need to keep in mind here is that money can most definitely buy you more time. And typically, if you're going to shorten the amount of time that it takes to do stuff, the trade-off of that is that you might have to spend a little money to do it. Now that means using the right tools for the right job. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, you get a tool that can do it in a few clicks. It can also mean that you are willing to invest a little bit of money into paid traffic, because that can certainly solve a lot of problems for your business. And it definitely shortens the amount of time that everything takes, because even if it's an idea, you can test it real fast if you can run traffic to it predictably. Okay, so don't be a perfectionist, and keep in mind that money can buy you time. With that, let's go ahead and start talking about the 10 high impact tasks. Number one is to develop a game plan. Now, the reason I say this is because many times when we are taking a super long time to get things done, or we're wasting time by working, but we're really not accomplishing a whole lot, it's because we went into it without a plan. It's because we're executing without knowing what the heck we were executing, okay? So first and foremost, one of the highest impact tasks that you can do is to stop all work when you feel this way and just sit down and come up with a game plan and say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm heading, and also clearly write down, what does done look like? Like, how do you know when you're going to be done with that thing? You should be very upfront with that with yourself, and what does done look like? And the other thing that I would recommend that you do is set a deadline. Say, I'm going to get it done by such and such a time. And it's just a personal contract with yourself, because obviously in most cases, nobody can hold you accountable to this other than you. But just set a deadline and maybe tell somebody around you what your deadline is going to be. And so you have that little bit of accountability. If you're a lab member, you can also post into the lab community forum what your goal is and what your deadline is, and that provides some accountability there too. Number two is to make a new lead magnet or a content upgrade. Now, your email list is by far your most valuable asset. So anything that you can do to grow that is going to be a lot more high impact for your business than writing another blog post or something like that. And so you should be looking at lead magnets and content upgrades, because they can convert really, really well. And then what you do is go back into one of the blog posts you've already written in and just insert a content upgrade there with an opt-in, okay? Now, what's very important here is that I know a lot of bloggers will think of these large lead magnets, multi-page ebooks and email challenges and stuff like that. And that would not be something you can get done in 30 minutes or less. And so for that reason, you need to be thinking small and concrete and specific. And in fact, usually the lead magnets that convert the best are going to be really short and sweet, like a checklist or a worksheet, something like that. We have some rules that we go by here at the Blog Marketing Academy on lead magnets that convert really well. We actually have an entire course about this inside the lab on how to create an effective lead magnet. And I can tell you that when you do it that way, it's not only more effective, but you can get it done quickly, short amount of time. Number three is to create a video in order to do a post update. So this is really easy. Video is working really well these days. You guys can probably see that I'm making a lot more videos here. And also, if you were willing to do live video, like Facebook Live and stuff like that, it's working really well because Facebook right now is really trying to get the word out on all that stuff. So they're going to help promote you and expose you to new people. But video is very effective. It doesn't take very long to make. And you can also go back to some of your more popular posts and simply make a video version of it and insert it on that thing. So you're making that post more valuable. You're going to create more time on page. It's going to help your SEO as a result. And not only that, you can just make the overall experience of being on your site a lot more valuable for people. That's certainly why I'm making videos like this one, even though there's a long post below it. The other thing too is that you can write blog posts this way. You can speak out a video like I'm doing right now and then just have somebody transcribe it for you, and you just wrote a blog post, okay? And like I said, money can buy you time, right? So pay somebody to get it transcribed. It doesn't cost that much, and you just wrote a really killer blog post in a very short amount of time. Number 4 is to boost a post on Facebook. So this one's pretty simple. You just go to your Facebook page or something and you use the boost button and you amplify that blog post out into the public. Now you can boost that to your own page fans, but you can also choose interest and boost that thing out into other people's audiences. And so, like I said, paid traffic can be very, very effective. And I think that you should be utilizing boosted posts, at least as an initial test, because that's the primary difference between a boosted post and an ad, is that the boosted post is a very temporary campaign. You say, I'm willing to spend, $20, and it will go out there and do what you want until $20 has been spent, and then it's done. So it's a very short-term campaign, but you can see what the results of it were. And if you like what you saw, you could turn it into a full Facebook ad and let it run evergreen, okay? But this type of thing is very effective. It won't even take you 30 minutes because it's a really easy thing to do, but can be really effective in growing your business and exposing your business and your blog to more people. Number 5 is to set up a Facebook ad campaign. So obviously that's pretty related to the last one about boosting a Facebook post, but when you're setting up an ad campaign, this is something you're going to test for a longer haul. And so you're usually setting a daily budget and you're going to let this thing run until you either see that it's working well and then you tweak it, or maybe you're like, let's try something different. But either way, if you get into Facebook ads, it is a highly effective activity for your business, okay? Quite frankly, even if you run a campaign and you weren't happy with the results, that's a good piece of data that is going to allow you to perfect your business in other ways later. So setting up Facebook campaigns, taking that time to learn how to run Facebook campaigns is a very valuable, high impact thing that you can do. And we have a training here inside the lab that I actually just completed. It's called the Facebook Ads Blueprint, which will walk you through how to run Facebook ad campaigns. We boil it down to the basics. I do my best to keep all the complexity out of it, and it's now available to all lab members. Number 6 is to add an email to your autoresponder sequence. So the truth is that the biggest mistake that I see people making with their email list is not emailing them. Okay, they just don't email their list that often. I'll ask them why, how frequently are you in touch with your email subscribers? And they'll say, I might email them twice in a year. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So here's what you want to do. You need to be building your autoresponder sequence, not rely solely on email broadcast. And an interesting thing that you might not know is that if all of your subscribers are automatically put onto an email sequence, an autoresponder sequence, then when they get to the end of that sequence, they're just going to kind of sit there, okay? So if you add another email right after that, then what's going to happen is all your subscribers are going to get it as if it's a broadcast, okay? But the thing is, you're actually creating a leverageable asset over time because people who come in and subscribe as brand new are now going to have a longer sequence of emails. And so the more that you do this, let's say you do it 52 times. Okay. You now have a full year of emails going out to your list and growing your business and growing your traffic and all that if you're emailing them once a week, a full year. But it's because instead of relying solely on broadcast, you wrote an email and you put it onto the end of your autoresponder sequence, and it's a lot higher leverage that way. Number 7 is to create a landing page. Landing pages for online businesses are pretty much the guts of marketing. I mean, no matter what traffic tactics you use and all this stuff, at the end of the day, when it comes time for your reader to take an action, you're going to be sending them to a landing page. And so it's a very high impact page for your business. It's so much more valuable than a blog post in many cases. And the good thing is that if you're using the right tool for the job, creating landing pages is super easy. I'm a big fan of Thrive Content Builder with Thrive Themes, and I highly recommend that you get it because this thing will allow you to create landing pages on your WordPress blog super easy. You don't need to know any code. If you want to get examples of the kind of thing you can do with it, just look at all the landing pages that I have here at Blog Marketing Academy because all of them were built with Thrive themes. And I'm not using a Thrive theme as my main theme. I just take over the page and I build a landing page with it and give it some common design elements so you guys can't really tell the difference, okay? But it's a really powerful tool. That's Thrive Content Builder from Thrive Themes. And generally making landing pages to get people to subscribe for another lead magnet or to get them for a front-end offer or even an affiliate product. If you want to promote an affiliate product, you can create a landing page for that pre-sells them on it and then sends them through the affiliate link. All these things are going to be very high impact and a much better use of time than writing another blog post. Number 8 is to pitch yourself as a podcast guest. So guest posting has been a big thing for a long time. And you probably have heard many times that guest posting can be a pretty effective traffic strategy. And it can be if you do it right. The thing is, doing it right can be a pretty time-consuming affair. And so for most people, it doesn't end up being a super good traffic strategy. So podcasting, you want to look at that as an option for guest posting, because here's the thing, when you're actually a guest on somebody's podcast, you're just talking like I'm talking to you right now on this mic. I mean, it's really easy. It's usually fairly informal, and that person, the host of the podcast, is doing all the work. All right. And obviously they want to provide value to their audience. They want you to promote that episode of the podcast. So they're going to present you in the best possible light. The other thing too is that most podcasts that have guests are constantly on the lookout for guests. In fact, the idea of having guests on their show can sometimes be a point of stress because they got to go and find these guests. So you're actually doing them a favor by presenting yourself as a guest. Now, obviously, only do that if you can really hammer some value home to the listeners of that podcast. So, because the podcast host might not know who you are and they don't really care, honestly. All they want to know is that you're going to make them look good and that you are going to provide a lot of value to that audience. And so if you can email them and say, hey, maybe even check out one of your best blog posts and say, hey, I noticed that you talk about X, Y, and Z on your podcast. Here's a blog post I wrote on this. If you'd like, I'm open to be a guest on your podcast, blah, 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 blah. And it can be really effective use of time, much higher leverage than trying to write a big blog post, especially if writing long, developed blog posts is something that takes you a while. Number 9 is to talk to a subscriber. In online business, a lot of people tend to ignore this one because we tend to find comfort behind our computers here. But actually talking to the people that you want to serve can be very, very high impact. The things that you can learn by hearing them actually tell you what their challenges are and what they're looking for and things that they value on other blogs in your market and things they like to see you put out. That is some really seriously valuable stuff, especially when you can hear them say it and you can take it, as a free-flowing conversation and not just a few questions in a survey where they have to fill out blanks. Okay. So talking to a subscriber is actually very, very high leverage. Now, if you're in a position where you do any consulting or anything like that, then you pretty much already talk to people. You got a lot of data there. But if that's not you, just email your list and be like, hey, I'd like to talk to a few people. Reply back to this email if you're interested. And you could tell them what you're doing. Just say, hey, I'd like to learn more about how I can help and get your opinion on a few things. People love to be asked their opinion, and see what happens. And if you want, you can even incentivize it, offer them to help them out with some project of theirs in whatever market that you are in. And I'm sure you could think of something. But talking to a subscriber is a pretty valuable thing to do. And lastly, number 10 is to create a pre-sale offer. So there's a very big difference between a product and an offer. The product is the thing that they're buying, and it takes a lot of time to make that, okay? An offer is just the outward presentation of it. Offer and product are very, very different. Now, you can put out an offer and make some sales even if the product does not exist yet. And that's what a pre-sale offer is. You're basically putting it out there as a feeler, and you're being upfront. You're not promising that they're going to get instant access to this. What I usually like to do is tell them that this is going to be taught live and that they're going to be able to participate via webinar, or maybe I'll release the videos to them as they're done, and then we'll do a Q&A. But I position it as a bit of a live experience with them, and I pre-sell it that way. And if nobody buys it, well, hell, I just saved myself a lot of work. But if people do, then that's a pretty high impact task, because you just proved a product concept and it didn't take you very long to do it. And you can create offers quick. Now, you might not be able to do it in 30 minutes, but if you utilize a few 30-minute periods and you just keep your eye on that ball, you know exactly what you're aiming for, you'll get it done. And this is a very high leverage thing to do for your business. Okay, so those were 10 very high impact, high leverage things that you can do to build and grow your blog and your business in 30 minutes or less. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you. Some of these, if due to your level of expertise in them, might take you longer than 30 minutes, and that's fine. Don't sweat it, okay? What you can do is go take a little break or something, or if you literally only have 30 minutes a day, just decide that when you come back the next day, you're going to do that. What I recommend that you do is that you concentrate primarily on one thing at a time, that you try not to multitask. If you set a goal for a 30-minute increment and you don't get it done, then you focus on that same one the next 30 minutes. And you do that until it's done. And when it's done, you move on to the next thing that you want to do. Okay? But you got to exercise some discipline on this, and you can totally make headway on your business in 30 minutes or less. It's all about executing smartly and executing on the right things. And by the way, this is a big part of what we do inside the lab. So if you're not a lab member, I'm not going to sit here and go through this spiel on it, but you can learn more about it at blogmarketingacademy.com/lab, because it's all about speeding things up, okay? This blog post just gave you a lot of things you can focus on, but we've got training inside the lab that goes into the nitty-gritty of each of these things. You can actually assign 30-minute increments to going through key pieces of the training in the brand new roadmap that we're working on inside the lab, and you can make real headway with your business, whether it's training or whether it's doing, in 30 minutes or less. I guarantee it. All right? See you next time.